It's Sunday the 17th of March and 13 days until we start our next trip along the West Highland Way. Join us on the channel today as we take a look through what I'll be taking with me this time round. So welcome along to the channel. If you're new here, I'm G from Renban Walking, and today we're going to be having a look at the gear loadout that I'll be taking with me on the West Highland Way this year. This will be my third year in a row. I've just been looking at some of the things that I've taken with me in the past, and some of it's not coming this year. So yes, we are getting a bit more savvy with what we're putting into the pack. So with that in mind, let's get started on what I'm taking with me this year on the West Highland Way. So let's start off with the actual pack itself, the thing I'm going to be carrying all my gear with on those 96 miles between Milngavie and Fort William. This is the Osprey Kestrel 48. Is it the lightest pack in the world? No. This in itself weighs 1.5 kilograms. It is a very robust and sturdy backpack, and I find it's got everything I need on it. I've had this on all the long distance hikes that I've been on, from the Cateran Trail that you'll have seen the video for. We've done the Speyside Way, West Highland Way, this will be the third time now, and various other mountain hikes that we've done. Is it a big pack? No, it's 48 litres. I did have a 65 litre Berghaus pack, which, can I be honest, would I been able to fit the gear I've got into easier? Yes. The problem is, with 65 litres, the more you have, the more you take. And the more you take, the more weight you're carrying. So, yeah, I find 48 litres, it almost keeps me in check. It stops me taking too much, because I really have to consider what I'm putting into here. And everything I take generally does fit in this. There's something I'll talk about later on that might cause a small issue and might mean I've got to rethink something else. But yeah, the Osprey backpacks, not all of them come with, in the bottom here, you have your rain cover, which we are in Scotland. You'll almost certainly be using that at some point, unless you're walking in the height of summer and you get one of these unusual, will we say, summer's days. So yeah, not all the Osprey rucksacks come with a rain cover. This one does. It has stretchy pockets on the side for keeping your water bottles in. This one has a sleeve down the back of it here that, if I can find it, the Osprey water bladder fits down the back of. I'm a water bladder user. I know some people don't like them. I find they're quite convenient to a degree. The problem I found with the water bladders is, if you forget to fill it before packing your bag in the morning, it can make getting the water bladder back in really difficult. This needs to go in first, everything else in afterwards, otherwise you're not getting this full of water down into this wee pocket behind your shoulder straps. So yeah, what else does it have? It has a good waist belt that's got great padding on it, with really substantial side pockets that I tend to carry my snacks. I'm an asthmatic, so inhalers, things that you need to get just really quickly and that are handy to have next to you. It has the stow and go on the strap here, which your poles fit down the side of the waist belt there and go there, rather than strapping to the back of your pack. So again, you can take your poles in and out. Chest strap. The one thing I don't like about this pack that other Osprey packs have is the pocket's not as stretchy. It's a more kind of rucksack material on the front of this one. Other packs that you get from Osprey have a really stretchy front pocket, which, you know, expands quite wide. This one doesn't seem to do that. It's a small thing. And then inside you've got the lid, which has your inside mesh pocket and your top outside pocket, and then it's just one big open compartment that everything goes inside. So yeah, that's the pack that I use, Osprey Kestrel 48. Something that a lot of rucksacks don't come with, and I've added this to the top of mine, is a kind of bungee cord. I found that quite useful if you've got one of these days where you're always taking your stuff, your rain gear, on and off. It can be really handy to have the bungees on the top that you can just take off waterproof trousers and jackets, roll them up, stuff them under there. The rain comes back on, they're accessible, they're easy to get to, yeah. But yeah, I found that to be quite a handy wee addition to the top of my pack. So an additional bit of luggage that I carry with me now is the Osprey chest rig. I did a wee bit of research on this when I started creating content for YouTube, knowing that I was going to be carrying a lot of camera gear, which means batteries, it means cables, it means controllers for things like your drones. This seemed to fit the bill for me. It comes with mainly, well, it's got 3 pockets, small pocket on the front. Your middle pocket is just, again, a big pocket with a loop for your keys. I once lost a set of keys at the end of Loch Long after heading up Ben Narnain and Ben Eam. So yes, I always make sure my house gear car keys is clipped into that. But this was the pocket that I really liked. It has these mesh panels on the side that stops everything just flopping right open and stuff falling out. And on the inside, it has these sleeves, these kind of mesh sleeves, which I find really useful for putting things like my DJI drone controller. The battery packs go in here. What else do I put in here? The cables, the big phone charging blocks, they sit in here nicely. And I found that to be ideal. It sits on my chest there. The weight's contained on my shoulders. Yeah, and it's exactly where I need it to be when I want to film stuff. Now, my drone doesn't go in there. I've still got the Mini 1, the original DJI Mini, the first, I think, 249 gram drone that DJI started to do. It doesn't come with propeller guards. I didn't want to carry this great big hulking DJI Mini case. That to me was a bit of overkill. So I went onto Amazon and I purchased a small case which is just big enough to fit the DJI Mini, and that gives it a wee bit of protection. And again, it gives me another option on where I want to put this. Quite often it's just attached on the bag with a strap round about it to hold it from flapping about. So yeah, the DJI itself, the mini drone, that goes into its own pack. But yeah, the chest rig, that has been an absolute game changer for me in terms of content creation. A lot of you, if you're not taking tons of camera equipment, you might well not need a chest rig. But what I can say is it fits a lot of extra gear that, you know, you might just want to have on hand as you're travelling along the trail. So let's take a look now at the tent that I've been using for the last 2 years on the West Highland Way, as well as the many other trips that I've taken elsewhere. The tent I've been using for the last couple of years is the MSR Hubba Hubba NX2. Now, this is a 2-man tent. Is it the lightest tent around? No. It comes in at just over 1.5 kilos. I've found having a 2-man tent is really useful in Scotland. The weather can sometimes be wet. Do I always want my stuff to be sitting outside? The only thing I really want to be sitting outside is my boots, because I'll be honest, they don't smell the freshest, so I tend not to take them into the tent with me. But I've found this to be a fabulous wee tent. At 1.5 kilograms, it's not ultra light, but then it's not ultra heavy. Now, this is the pack size, but I don't ever take it like this. I separate the inner and the outer. This is the downside to this tent, is that it's an inner first. I did have an occasion a few years back where I camped at Ben Glass and it was raining pretty heavy when I arrived, And an inner first tent means you have to get a move on. You have to get your tent pitched really quickly, otherwise the inside of your tent ends up absolutely soaking. So that's the downside to this tent. But what I do is I separate out the inner and the fly sheet into two separate dry bags. That keeps the usually wet fly sheet away from my what should be dry inner sheet. Something else that I take with me, and it's just because, I mean, my son will tell you, he's said to me, you know, he would take anything second hand off of me because I really look after my gear. The footprint for this tent was an additional extra, and I stumped up for it. Now, people use Tyvek and kind of various building materials that you can get for its pounds rather than the official one. I wanted the one that was going to fit under the tent properly, and that just protects the floor of the tent. So that has its own bag, so that when it's wet and mucky, folds into its own wee bag, and that's there. And then the poles and the pegs go on the outside of my pack, strapped in next to other bits and bobs that I have no need to keep dry, because these are tent poles and tent pegs. They are not weather dependent. You can get these things wet, so they're fine to be on the outside of the pack. I say the inner and the outer I separate out and put into their own separate dry bags. I don't carry it in this all be fabulous stuff sack that it comes in. I just find it gives me a bit more of an option on where I want to put stuff on the inside of my pack in terms of organising my gear. So yes, so the tent I use is MSR's Hubba Hubba NX2. I don't doubt this year, with the advent of Dan Durston over in America, that I am going to see more and more trekking pole tents that are coming in at under a kilogram. The Durston, I think it's X Mid Solid, looks like a fabulous tent. Am I going to replace this with a Durston X Mid Solid? Probably not, or at least not yet. Right, so that's the tent sorted. Let's go on and have a look now at my sleep system. So, the sleep system, what am I using to get a decent night's sleep? Something about this has changed this year, which I'm going to show you at the very end. Now, this caused much hilarity with my wife when I first bought this. Let me show you what I'm going to talk about. It's this. Yeah, this. It's the Z-Lite foldable pad from Thermarest. Now, I have an inflatable pad, and when this arrived, my wife was like, "Why have you got that? Have you not got an inflatable pad?" I'd had a trip out to Butte, and we were staying down in a place called Glencallum Bay, which, if you have never been to visit Glencallum Bay on Butte, I can thoroughly recommend it as a place to go and camp. So, yeah, we were out on Butte, and I woke up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, and my original Thermarest pad had been popped by a rogue thistle that was underneath my tent, and at that time of night I was not getting up to try and find a tiny pinprick hole in my sleeping pad, and got the worst night's sleep, as you can imagine, because I was lying directly on the ground. So when I got back, I went straight on the internet and ordered myself one of these. Now, Mrs. Archibald's hilarity about it was, "So have you bought a mat for your mat?" And the answer to that was yes. Now, joking aside, a lot of the times when I do the walk along the West Highland Way, it's around about April time, and the last 2 years we've done it, we have woken up in Glencoe having spent the night in -5 degrees in April. So the ground gets cold. That is what stops you sleeping mainly. So having plenty of protection underneath you, whilst it sounds funny to have a mat for your mat, this is an extra barrier. Silver side up, this is another thing that I discovered people didn't know. you can't deflect cold temperatures. You can only deflect heat. So the heat's coming from your body, so make sure this is yellow side down, silver side up. Okay, so this goes on the ground in my tent as a first barrier. On top of that, we have the Thermarest Neo Air camping pad. Now this is the one that for years and years people complained sounded like a crisp bag when you were lying on top of it. I haven't ever had a problem with it. I've had it for, what, 3 years now. I don't know if by the time I bought this, Thermarest had maybe sorted out the noisiness of the pad, but yeah, I've been using this for a number of years now and never felt the cold coming through it. It is a lightweight mat. It's tiny, it's compact. This stuff on the top, which I'm going to let you see, is just some of the additional stuff that I take with me. So in here I have a couple of batteries, which I'll explain in a wee second, and I have credit cards, which just, I've got kind of Gorilla Tape around an old, I think it's a store card that kind of went out of date, and I've just got some Gorilla Tape wrapped around about that, and then stuff for my feet. It's, what do you call that tape? It's like Luco tape, again, round an old thing, an old credit card, batteries, and then you've got your repair kit for the mat as well, which, because I'm carrying the Thermarest Z-Lite pad, I shouldn't need a repair kit, but I do carry one with me just in case. And then, pure laziness on my part, it's the Thermarest Neo Air micro pump, which fits perfectly onto the valve of this pad, and saves you having to blow it up. Now, why not just blow it up with your mouth? If you get moisture inside your pad, it can cause you two problems. First one being the fact that moisture in your pad, when it gets cold at night, will freeze on the inside of your pad. Now the idea is to protect yourself from the cold, and if you've got frozen moisture on the inside of your pad, that's going to do the opposite of what you're wanting. So that's the first thing that this helps with. The next thing is, obviously if you're breathing moisture inside your pad, you're going to end up with mould on the inside of your pad, which could affect, you know, how well it works. The inside of these pads has got a reflective coating on it. If it's covered with mould, it's not reflecting anything. So I use the tiny pump, which just takes those two little batteries, and yeah, it saves me having to use the pump sack which the mat came with. So yeah, so it's the Thermarest Neo Air pad with the Thermarest micro pump, and that is my pad system. So what am I using as a bag? As you can see, it's a Rab product. For the last 3 years, I've been using the Rab Ascent 700 sleeping bag in the XL size. Now I'm 6'2", and I just wanted that extra space. I didn't want my feet to feel constricted in the bottom, and the Ascent version of the bags, where they had an XL option, obviously left or right zip, I can't remember which one this is. The side of the zip doesn't really matter to me, I'm going to be honest. But yeah, now this isn't the bag that you would obviously take it with. Being a down product, you need to store your bag in a loft bag, I think they call it. This stops the down from getting too compressed and allows it to stay fluffy. You only want to compress it when you're on the move and when you're travelling. If you're not travelling, this is how we store it. So the bag that it comes in, if I can open this up, where is it? So that's the kind of size of the stuff sack. So it's not a big bag, and it's got the compression straps round about it, and that, as I say, compresses right down to probably about that size. So it's not big, and that has kept me warm with the Z-Lite pad, and the Neo Air pad from Thermarest has kept me warm down to below -5. I'm sure we were down to -7 or -8 at the Kirkton of Glen Isla on the Cataran Trail, and again, I got a good night's sleep with that. So yeah, that's the oh, I'll take it out and let you have a look at it. It is a lovely thing. And when you're inside it, my goodness, it really holds the heat in. So it's your typical mummy style bag. Oi, here we go. With the big hood on the top. It's got the draw cords for the baffles to keep the heat in. And it's slightly wider across the shoulders. I'm not a fan generally of mummy bags because I feel they're too restrictive. This one's got a bit more space across the shoulders and down the body. So yeah, I just find you can move around a bit more in this, and this has been a lovely and fantastic bit of kit which I have looked after. It's been washed a few times. And there's something else I'm going to show you just in a second to help you protect your down equipment as you're getting the use out of it. And as I say that, look, there's a wee feather falling out the top of that. So yes, so the Rab Ascent 700 bag. Anything out of 3 seasons, you might want to go one up and go for the Rab Ascent 900 bag. But yeah, I love this bag. Haven't ever experienced cold spots, and it has kept me cosy down to at least -7. In addition to the Rab Ascent sleeping bag, I also went ahead and bought the Rab silk liner. This is really, I mean, it does add a little bit of extra warmth to the inside of the bag, but this is really good for protecting your expensive down sleeping bag against your body oils and sweats, and you know, it keeps you off the bag more than anything else. So this can be chucked into the washing machine much more regularly than you'd probably want to do with a down sleeping bag, and just adds that extra little layer of warmth. Although it's a silk bag, but that's the same size as the sleeping bag, but you can see it's totally tiny, and just adds an extra layer of warmth to your entire sleep system. Now, since I've been hiking and backpacking, I have been using an inflatable pillow. This is the helium pillow from Decathlon. This has been an absolutely fantastic little bit of kit. Again, it packs down to, there's that silk. It packs down to roughly the same size as the silk. You can see that, maybe just a wee bit fatter, but similar size. And instead of just putting your stuff into a stuff sack, like your clothes for the day, and using that as a pillow, having the inflatable pillow has been really, really good. Some people think, pillows, really? Your sleep's important. So it's got this lovely kind of soft feel to the top. It is an inflatable pad, so you know, if you were to take it out, it feels a bit like a lilo on the inside. It has got this cover over the top that can be taken off and washed. So the helium pillow from Decathlon, it only takes a couple of breaths to blow it up, and it gives you a couple of inches of pillow. There you go. And that gives you a reasonable thickness of pillow, and again you can deflate that to whatever you fancy for yourself, but that's been my go-to pillow for a number of years now. I'm swapping this out this year. That was quite small, as you saw, similar size to the mummy stuff sack when deflated, and this is the kind of pillow it gives you. I have swapped that out for this year for this, and this will be coming on its first outing with me on the West Highland Way. This is the Thermarest compressible pillow in extra large, and this, wait till you see this, this is a kind of stuffs back in itself. I can just get it flipped around the right way, and then you fluff it up, and here we go. We've got a full-sized compressible pillow. So this is what's coming with me on the West Highland Way this time, and this might well be a game changer. Now, the only downside is, as you saw there, when you compress it back in itself, and it just tucks back in there, and it's got a wee toggle on the back to keep it compressed. there's a bit of a size difference. So this does squash down a bit further, you know, and that can go inside a stuffed sack, but it's not going to be anywhere close to the size of the pillow I've had from Decathlon. But yeah, this could make the sleep system the ultimate sleep system, but it is going to take up a bit more space in the pack. So this is the Thermarest pillow in the large side. There is regular and small, but oh, the comfort rating on this just looked too much to resist. So this is coming with me on the West Highland Way for the first time, and I'm looking forward to using that as part of my sleep system. So as part of my clothing that I wear at night, I have a thin merino wool top and merino wool long johns to wear with the smart wool socks if it gets down really cold. I have on an odd occasion taken my down puffy jacket and put that on while I've been sleeping, but inevitably you wake up and you're far too hot and that comes off. But yeah, that with a beanie hat on the top and you are as snug as a bug in a rug. So that is the sleep system that I use. The Z-Lite pad, the NeoAir pad on top, the Rabascent 700 XL sleeping bag, the Thermarest compressible pillow. I'm going to be leaving the Decathlon one, that's staying this time, that's not coming with me, and the silk liner on the inside. That with the merino wool and the smart wool socks leaves you feeling really toasty. So yes, that's what's coming with me in the sleep system. Right, let's move on to the next part. So this is my cook system. It's a Jetboil 230 gram gas. Now, will I finish that on the West Highland Way? I'm a coffee drinker. I sometimes even stop during the day, boil up some water and have a coffee during the day. So yeah, I probably will, even although, as I'll explain in a second, I'm not going to be doing a lot of cooking. So what have I got in here? This is just a small 500 milliliter Tokes cook pot with lid. I do have a gas lighter inside here, but I'm swapping that out this year. This is another thing that will be staying behind. And for Father's Day, my daughter got me, no, it wasn't Father's Day, it was Christmas. My daughter has got me a flint and steel, which it'll never run out, and yep, we'll get the sparks off of that, and that will be the alternative to carrying the gas lighter this year. So that's a new item that's coming with me. And my stove is the very tiny, very lightweight MSR Pocket Rocket 2, which is a tiny wee stove, which on top of the gas, that is the entirety of my cook system. I find the MSR Pocket Rocket 2 to be a great wee addition to my kit. I also have the Jetboil 2.0, but I've just found it's for an overnighter, the Jetboil brilliant. See, for 7 days I just felt the size of it and the weight was too much for what I was looking for. So I do own a Jetboil 2.0, but I'll not be taking that with me because I just think, you know, for what I'm using it for boiling water for coffees, and the whole stove system, other than the gas, fits into the little container. In here I've got a wee sponge for just wiping out the pot if I need to. And yeah, where did I put the... Oh, and that's not going to fit in here quite so, as neat as the lighter. Maybe I'll not take that. Maybe I will take the lighter. I don't know. I'll make a decision on the day. And that just fits neatly into this little stuff sack. And again, because the gas and the 500ml pot are separate, there is just, you know, there's more flexibility on where you want to put this inside the pack. So yeah, that's pretty much the cook system. So in addition to the cook pot and the stove, I'll be taking this. It's just a little silicone collapsible mug, which again, with it being collapsible, it just gives you that extra flexibility on where you want to put this. It's thin, it slides into a pocket dead easy. And the last thing, as part of the cook set, is your long titanium spoon. Now the West Highland Way is really well appointed for restaurants and places to get food. There's always a shop or something that you're going to pass on the way. The only exception to that would be on my night 2. So this will be Sunday the 30th, where I'll be travelling alongside of Loch Lomond at this point. Now my aim is to get beyond River Dennon and as far along the bottom path as I can before I feel like I can't go any further. It's similar to what I did last year, but hoping to get up and get started a bit earlier. So that night I'll be taking, it's the Wayfarer meal, and this one is the meatballs and pasta. I'll be carrying 2 of these because, well, you never know. You never know. It's one of these ones, having done it twice already, you know, I have a fair idea I'm going to be able to get food, but maybe one lunchtime where I want to stop and have something hot to eat, and all I have to do is fold these in half, boil up the water inside that little pan. It's a boil in the bag meal basically. So yeah, the Wayfarer meals, I've used them a lot, and they're just convenient. You know, you eat out of the bag, there's no mess other than what's created on the spoon. And I'm kind of lazy in the sense that after I've boiled the water for the boil in the bag Wayfarer meal, I'll stick a coffee in that, and I've got my after dinner coffee to have as well. So yeah, they'll be coming with me, just 2 meals, and that's that. So that's the full cook set, and cup, spoon, meals. Yeah, other than the little individual sachets of coffee, that's pretty much the food I'll be taking with me, other than the little energy snack bar things, the cereal bars. Now, I bought 12 of them for going away last year, thinking, well, I'm away for, 7 nights? That's, roughly 2 a day. I got back with 6 of them still in my pack. There are so many shops along the way to buy little snacks and things. You don't need to carry a massive abundance of snacks as you go. So yeah, the snack bars, I'll have 1 pack of them with me, and that will hopefully keep me going between restaurant and restaurant and shop and shop. So yeah, right, on to the next thing. So we've talked a wee bit about the food that I'm taking with me. Aside from food, the other thing you need to consider is water. Now, I've done a whole video about the water of the West Highland Way. Back in 1990, when I first did it with the 54th Scouts, there wasn't the availability of water that there is now. You can get water at almost every stop you're going to, so whatever your itinerary is, you can get something to drink at the very start in Mulgai. There's the Scottish water tap that you can fill up there. There's also a Greggs next door, so you can get yourself a bottle of juice or a bottle of water at that point. There are all the honesty boxes along for the first. I think the honesty boxes seem to stop. The last one I saw was the one at River Dennon. So there's honesty boxes all the way along where you can get bottled water. There are taps at most of the hotels. You're not going to be short of water. You know, I carry the 1.5 litre Hydro Pack. This one's a bit discoloured because one thing I like, I'm not particularly a fan of just plain water. Robinsons do a little thing, it's about that size, it's a concentrated fruit burst. It's like diluting juice, but highly concentrated. 4 or 5 squirts into that, and you've got, a tasty drink for the day. I just find that really convenient, other than when I forget to refill it in the morning, pack up my bag and realise that I'm not going to be able to get this either out the bag or back in the bag once it's filled up. But that's 1.5 litres. Now that's generally enough to get me from one place to the next. But something I do carry with me that I have done for years, and I used to buy these on every trip, is the smart water bottles. These are good plastic. You know, I'm still using the same 2 as I got, now what would it have been on? The Speyside Way, which was a couple of years back now. I'm still using the same 2 bottles. There's nothing wrong with them. They're good plastic. They hold, is this a 1 litre bottle? 600 millilitres each. And what I do is I keep these down the side of my pack, and yeah, I fill these generally coming up to near the end of the day if I get a chance. If I know I'm going to be, certainly along the side of Loch Lomond, the last spot for water there is at the car park for Ben Lomond at Riverdennon. I will fill up both of these, and that gives me enough water for, well, 3 or 4 coffees. And, you know, that keeps me going. I've got enough for the morning, and that's enough to see me on till I get to the Inversnaid Hotel, where I can refill the hydro bag again and carry these empty as I go along. So yeah, if you're using smart water bottles, don't throw them away. They're good plastic and they're lightweight. I've got also the Camelback bottles, but they weigh an absolute ton. These, you know, they do the job for me. Now, I spoke on the water video about filtration. There is all sorts of filters out there, from the very fancy MSR pump one, that the flow rate's amazing on it, and you just stick it in the water and it pumps the water straight through the filter, and the flow rate on that is fantastic. There's the Katadyn B Free. I like the ethics of the Sawyer products. Sawyer are doing great work all over the world. Their filters are designed slightly differently. I've done more and more research on this thanks to a YouTuber in America called Dan Becker, he's actually connected with the Sawyer group in terms of raising awareness and funds to get more of these out to places where people are dying of things like dysentery and diarrhea. Giving these to communities where they've only got access to dirty water can be an absolute lifesaver, and these have been handed out, and the rates of death through things that really you shouldn't be dying from have gone through the floor. Nobody's dying from these diseases because all the water they use is filtered through the Sawyer filters. I love the ethics of that. Now, I carry this with me with that's the what we call the grey water bag, which you fill up from your streams or your lochs, and that filters out through the top end of there. I carry this with me, but can I be honest? On the West Highland Way, do you need to carry a filter? I know where to get water, so in that sense I probably don't need to carry a filter, but I will still take one just in case. I don't think I'm going to need it, but yeah, I can recommend the Sawyer filters. If I was to do it over again, would I go for the squeeze? Yes, I would. The mini's quite good, but the squeeze I think has a slightly higher flow rate. But yeah, if you're looking for something to filter water through, take that and fill it up into your good quality plastic smart water bottles. These are lightweight. You don't need to carry that. Well, if I filled that up, I would be carrying nearly, what would that be, 2.5 kilograms of water. You don't need to carry that amount of water with you. Just refill every chance you get and you'll be fine. So that's water filtration. So obviously with me being in a tent, it's gonna get dark. I need to be able to see what I'm doing. The first thing I have, and I can't even remember the model of this one. No way I've had it for that many years. It's a black diamond head torch. I believe it's 250 lumens. That's the head torch I wear for if I'm getting up to go down to the toilets on the campsite in the middle of the night and there's no lighting, which the Drimming campsite's kind of like that. I'm trying to think of the other ones that are similar. Ben Glass is well lit. Back at the King's House Hotel this year, I'm going for something slightly different. I usually camp at the Glencoe Mountain Resort, but this year I've decided to stick the tent down the back of the King's House Hotel, and yeah, I might need a head torch if I'm going to the toilet in the night with that. And then inside the tent I have the little again black diamond lantern, which gives me plenty of light for inside the tent, and that just hangs up with a wee hook in the tent, and that is a brilliant wee light for in the tent and doesn't weigh very much. So if I can get it to switch off, there is a locking mode to stop it switching on in your bag. As you can see, it's got different brightness settings. Anyway, There we go. So that's it switched off. Yeah, so between the two things, that's my lighting for when I'm away. Black diamond head torch, 250 lumens, and the intent lantern. Now, here's a bit of kit that I don't think I'm going to take this year. Not having done it the last few years, but if you're doing this in the summer months, you will almost certainly need to consider this. A midgenet. They're very stylish. Inside this one, I also have. You can get these in a lot of the camping shops. It's smidge, but it comes in this kind of credit card style pumpy bottle. The top presses down. I'll take that with me for spraying around my legs, because it's not just for midges. This can help with ticks as well. Anywhere where there's sheep or deer, and the West Highland Way certainly has that, you need to be careful of ticks. So I'll be probably taking this, but not taking the very stylish midgenet. Let me just put this on and model it for you. If you're doing it this summer, you're going to need one of these. Enough of that. So yeah, that's just a wee aside that I will probably leave behind this year, because beginning of April is before mid-season, so I am not expecting to be bothered by midges, and this is just an extra unnecessary that I wait for it, I'm going to get eaten alive by midges now, aren't I? I don't think I'm going to need this year, so this is another thing that will be getting left behind. But I will, however, be taking this for not the midges, more so the ticks. I'm going to be spraying that round about the bottom of my legs and round about the middle of my body where ticks can get in. And that brings me on to these little gadgets. Tick removal tools. I've got a little groove on the end that allows you to get around the tick and then twist them out. Now, the ticks are tiny. People expect ticks to be big, fat, beetle-like, juicy things. They're not. They are so minuscule. They almost look like a tiny freckle when you first spot them. I tend to find that at the end of a camp, if you're on a campsite and you go for a shower, the shampoo and any body wash you're using will tend to aggravate them, and that's when you get the itch. That's how I found mine. Now, I got these, and I didn't have these the first time I did the West Highland Way, and I popped into Benglass, the shop at Benglass Farm, to just have a look for something to eat for my lunch, because I knew it was going to be a wee bit of a stretch between lunchtime, sorry, not lunchtime, breakfast time and lunch. So I decided I was going to pop in the shop for that, and spotted these, and I thought, you know, I'll buy these just in case. Well, I had one on my side of my stomach, just above where the belt of my trousers would be, and I had another one, where was it? Just round the side on my back there. So we'd sat on the ground as we went across Rannoch Moor. I'm saying we, it was me and my younger brother Jamie, who was there 2 years ago. He did Crean Lanark to Fort William with me. Jamie suffered with 5 ticks just from that one trip. Now the problem with ticks is if you leave them in for long enough or try to remove them with tweezers, they can you can end up getting Lyme disease, which can be quite serious, which needs a course of antibiotics and can leave you quite debilitated, I believe. My friend Ryan, he had a neighbour who had to get retired from work because of Lyme's disease. So these little tick removal tools, they're a good thing to have with you. You might not even need to use them, but should you pick up a tick on the way, this allows you to remove them as soon as you find them and, you know, get them off your body. So between the smidge and the tick removal tools, we should have that covered. Now, something else I take with me, I'm probably going to get a ribbon for this in the comment section from all the people who like to wild camp and just be, you know, in their own smell for 7 days. I like to be clean. I'm not going to make any excuses about that. So I do carry a towel with me. This is a small microfiber towel. It's the size of a beach towel, but because it's really thin, it folds flat. It dries very quickly, so I can hang that up in a tree or whatever at the end of the day, and it's usually dry by the morning. If not, I can just wrap it around the straps on my pack and that dries off. So I take a microfiber towel because I like to have showers. So that takes us on to the toiletries that I take with me. Now, as I say, there are plenty of places to get a shower along the West Highland Way. Unless you're wild camping the whole way and you'll be dunking yourself into streams. I don't know. I like to be clean. I like to have a shower. So I have my shampoo and my body wash. What can I say? I'm a clean hiker. And my small travel-sized tin of deodorant. This is just things that I'm not going to go without. I don't see the need to be smelly when you don't have to be. The showers are there and available. I think there's only 2 showers that charge you on the whole of the West Highland Way. If you're booked onto the campsites, you can use the other showers as part of the price. And that's at Glencoe Mountain Resort, which you'll need £1 coins for. And also if you're camping out the back of the King's House Hotel, the public shower block that you can use, actually next to the bunkhouse there, they have the showers as well that again are £1 to use. So yeah, I'll be carrying this with me. Now I also have my contact lens case and a couple of little containers with ibuprofen, paracetamol and cocodamol in case of any aches and pains. And something that might surprise you that we didn't take with us last year, but my goodness, we could have used it. Don't know if the camera will pick that up. Suntan lotion, factor 50. In my introduction to the channel, you'll see a video of myself and my brother John walking along towards the Buccleuch Moor along the back of King's House in glorious sunshine. Now that wasn't the only day of sunshine we had, and we got sunburnt in April. Who would have thought it? In Scotland. So yeah, this year I've got the suntan lotion with me. I also have in the back of the pack a pair of scissors for cutting that Luco tape for dealing with any hot spots or blisters that I might have. And that takes us nicely on to foot care. You will need to look after your feet. You are walking 96 miles over, well, people do it from anywhere between 4 days and 10 days. You're going to have to look after your feet. Now, on all the other trails I've ever done, I haven't really had any blisters. The West Highland Way, for whatever reason, goes for my little toes. I seem to lose the skin very quickly off the bottom of the little toes. The first year I did it, I discovered that it was the rubbing between the toes. The following year I tried those toe socks. Nah, they didn't work. So this year I'm going with a various selection of the Compeed plasters. I always wear the bigger Compeeds on the ball of my feet, and I don't seem to have any blisters with that, but I'm going to try something new this year. It's the Compeed stick. Now, I don't know whether this is going to work, but this is to stop the heat and the chafing on bits of your body that kind of tend to blister. So I'm going to smother my toes in betweens with this. Is it going to help? We don't know. That's a review that we'll need to wait until I come back and I'll tell you whether this has been any good. Now, something else I'm taking with me this year, and this was from, we went up to, if you haven't seen the Ben Hope video, it's still, in my opinion, and I am slightly biased, in my opinion, is one of the best videos I've done so far. When I was up there in Tongue, I got chatting to an ex-army guy who he'd done I think 2 rounds of Monroe's. He'd bought himself an old camper van and was just travelling round, and I could have spent, I mean I did spend a good couple of hours chatting to him. And at one point I asked him, when you're in the army, you're obviously carrying very heavy weights on your back, you're travelling for miles. How did you avoid getting blisters? And this was his solution. he said we carried, or certainly he carried, in his bag, 2 very large Ziploc bags. Now, inside the Ziploc bags, baby powder. What he said was every time you stop, say you stop for lunch, you would get your boots and socks off, put your feet inside these Ziploc bags with a goodly dose of baby powder inside the Ziploc bag, and just wear them on your feet while you're having lunch, and then change into fresh socks. He said moisture is your enemy when it comes to getting blisters. So I'm going to take that advice on board. I am taking extra socks. That's going to take up a bit more weight in the pack, but I'm also going to be taking the baby powder, which I've got in this Ziploc bag, because if that goes off inside the bag, what a mess that's going to make. So yeah, we're going to give that a try and see if it works. Certainly between the Compeed, that might make a bit of a paste, might it? Anyway, we're going to try one or the other and see how we get on. Fingers crossed this time, no blisters. Right, what we're moving on to next. This, right, again, buy these, I've got a whole bunch of them. Ziploc bags are your friend for organising stuff in your pack. They're relatively inexpensive. You can use them over and over again until they eventually die a death. And they keep your stuff not just organised, but protected from the elements. This is something I always carry, but I've never had to use it on the West Highland Way yet. Yeah, you know what this is for. Trowel and tissue and something for sanitising your hands afterwards. Hand sanitising wipes. So yeah, if you do need to, as my brother would put it, clear the back doorstep, you're going to have opportunities to do that throughout every day. I think the only day you're going to struggle, and you're not even going to struggle because, again, it's day 2 seems to be that long stretch at the north end of Loch Lomond, where once you get past Inversnaid, there is nothing until you reach Benglass Farm. So, you take that with you, but you probably, again, this is an item I've certainly not used in the last 2 years, but I will not leave home without, you might call it a poop kit. In Scotland we call this a jobby kit. We're not leaving home without that. You might need it. Now, first aid kits. That's a topic I always have. Well, I've had the mickey taken out of me by my friend Ryan and Steve, that if you've watched the storm video when we were up on, oh, I can't remember what the 2 mountains were called now. Have a look at the storm video. But Steve and Ryan both took the mick out of me for taking this out and about first aid kit. It's small, okay? This is what I would carry if I was heading up into the Munros. It's got full triangular bandages and stuff. This is just a very small first aid kit with a few plasters, a little bandage, a little set of scissors, and that's where I keep the tick removal tools in. So yeah, that's all I'm taking in terms of a first aid kit. If anything more serious happens to me, I've got another solution for that. But yeah, the mini first aid kit is all I'll be taking. That's really thin and narrow and will fit into the bag just nicely. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is, it's still one of my favourite bits of kit that I've ever bought. It's also arguably the cheapest bit of kit I've ever bought. This only cost 99 pence. I don't carry a camping chair, but I do carry a sit pad. It folds in on itself. It weighs, I think it's something like 15 grams. It weighs next to nothing. Now, this one I got on eBay, 99 pence. You can get them more expensive. The Thermarest ones are very expensive. This is just a little bit of comfort. It takes, no weight to carry. It slips down the pocket. I put my bottles on the outside. It's just a wee bit of luxury wherever I go. This comes with me. My little cheap 99 pence eBay sit pad which stops my bum getting cold and wet, and it's a handy wee thing to have. Still my favourite bit of kit. Now, not all of you will want to take these, but I have to say I converted both of my brothers to the use of walking poles. You don't really need these for the first couple of days, but what you'll find is when your shoulders are tired and you're needing that little bit of extra help, these almost feel like they power you along. They take a bit of pressure off your back, a bit of pressure off your shoulders, and get your arms doing some of the work that your legs will have been doing for days and days. And again, when you're heading along the north end of Loch Lomond and up the Devil's Staircase, a set of walking poles can really help to kind of power you along. I can't recommend walking poles highly enough. These again are I'm quite a fan of my Black Diamond stuff. It's the Black Diamond ones, which I've had for a number of years. These have been up and down all the Ben Lomond, and these have the clip locks on them. I'm not a fan of the ones that screw in on themselves. I like the kind of security that these clip locks give you, that, you know, that's not going to go wrong in my mind, whereas the screw-in ones, I'll be honest, I don't really know how they work. They screw down, there's some sort of mechanism on the inside that expands and holds it in place, but yeah, walking poles, definitely worth having with you, and I'll be taking these with me this time round. So we've spoken a wee bit about Footcare, and the next thing we'll look at is the boots that I wear. Now, I've been wearing Salomon boots for years. They suit the shape and size of my feet. These are the X Ultra 4 boots from Salomon. Now, you see comments on Facebook forums all the time about, you know, what's best? Is it a trail runner? Is it a boot? I like my feet to be dry, so I go with the Gore-Tex boot. You might look for something that's a bit lighter, because these, you know, they're lightish, but they're still kind of heavier than a trail runner would be. It's down to personal preference. Nobody can give you advice on what shoe is going to be the right shoe for you. I recommended these to my brothers Jamie and John. Jamie didn't like them. John is quite a fan. So again, it's a personal preference thing. Nobody really can advise you on what's right for you. However, I would say that the north end of Loch Lomond, there is a lot of kind of up and downy scrambly bits that you're over roots and over rocks and round trees, and a sturdy pair of boots is maybe not a bad choice in my opinion. But again, I get that boots aren't for everyone, and you might be just more comfortable in a pair of trail runners. So, but yeah, I'm wearing the Salomon Ultra X 04s, and these have been on a few trips. These are the ones I got for going on the Cataran Trail. They've done about 500 miles now, so yep, these will be ready to go, and that's what I'll be wearing. Now, on top of that, on a wet day, I also carry, it's a set of Rab Gore-Tex Gaiters. Now, these just add an extra layer of protection to your wet weather gear. I have the Arc'teryx Alpha AR jacket and bottoms, which, you know, I think I've explained on the water video that they are total overkill. But on a particularly wet day, if you've got the gaiters on top of your boots, your waterproof trousers over the top, no water, well, the water's got to get up over the top of your gaiter before you're going to get water really into your boots, unless you're standing in the middle of Loch Lomond. But the gaiters just add that little bit of extra protection. In terms of waterproofs, do you need something that's like an Arc'teryx £550 jacket and £550 trousers? No, they're total overkill. And I've said this on the water video for what I need. A decent lightweight pair of waterproof trousers and a decent lightweight jacket. Having a storm hood can really help you, but you know, not 100% essential. I guess if you don't have a storm hood, you could put a baseball cap on. It would work the same way. But yeah, that's what I'm doing to look after my feet. So the gloves that I wear are they almost feel like neoprene. They're the ones from Montaigne. which I feel are quite good. They've got the little pads on the finger and thumb for using your phone with. And yeah, I just find these quite warm. They're pretty lightweight, and they add a bit of warmth when you're walking along. But I don't tend to wear these when I'm walking. These are more for when I get to camp at night and I've had my dinner. If I'm out standing about chatting to whoever's with me, then having the gloves with me can make just a wee bit of a difference. And then on top of that, I have my, you'll have seen this in a few videos, my Arc'teryx. It's just a thin hat to go over the top. Yep, so gloves and hat I will be taking with me. Now, if you've watched the water video, you'll have heard me talk about the waterproofs that I take with me. I got this. This is it's the Arc'teryx Alpha AR jacket, which retailed when I got this at about, I think it was £550. Now, some people say that folk who buy Arc'teryx have more money than sense. I didn't pay £550 for this. If you're clever and you go onto the website Sports Pursuits, they quite often have flash sales. This jacket, I'd been looking at it for months, and a friend of mine got in touch to say, do you know Arc'teryx is having a flash sale on Sports Pursuits? 50% off. So I got this jacket half price. I didn't pay £550 for it. It is a bomb-proof jacket. I love it. It's Gore-Tex Pro. Now that has its ups and downs as well. The Gore-Tex Pro seems to, when you're working especially hard, it seems to get condensation moisture on the inside. But see, for walking along with a rucksack on, it's great. I've never gotten wet wearing this. And after buying that, I went out and got the Alpha AR Arc'teryx trousers to go with it, which have kind of scuff plate on the inside to stop them wearing out from your boots. And yeah, again, they're a bomb-proof pair of trousers as well, which, you know, they've got the waterproof zips that go all the way to the top. And again, I've never gotten wet wearing these. Now, the only downside to these is they're bulky. They'll take up a lot of space in your pack. And can you get lighter, cheaper ones? Yes, you can. Do you need something like that? No, not necessarily. I bought these off the back of the fact that I was going to be in Munros quite a lot. That was what I did predominantly. I wasn't doing much of the long distance hiking. I've gotten into that recently in the last number of years. But I bought them predominantly to go up mountains where it could be snowing. Could I get a cheaper pair? Yes. Would my other half like it? Probably not, because I told her this is probably the last set of Gore-Tex stuff I'll ever have to buy. That was the excuse I used. So I better not push my luck and go and buy another set of waterproof trousers and jacket just because they're a bit lighter. So yeah, that's my waterproof gear. My Alpha AR jacket from Arc'teryx, the Arc'teryx Alpha AR trousers, the Rab Gore-Tex Gaiters, the Salomon the Salomon boots, which are Gore-Tex lined as well, the mountain equipment over mitts to go on top of my mountain gloves, and the mountain equipment cap. With that and my rain pack cover, we're pretty much protected from the elements, which takes me on to the next part. In addition to the Arc'teryx Gore-Tex waterproofs that I take with me, I've also added these two things in. Now, I don't wear baseball caps, but what I've found is a waterproof baseball cap on a wet day with your storm hood up can just keep the rain out your eyes, and again, keep your head dry. If you get too hot, you can take your hood down at least and then still have a dry head. And then in addition to that, again, both from mountain equipment, I've bought kind of waterproof over mitts. I do take it's a pair of Montane gloves that I take with me. Protecting your gloves and keeping them dry is going to make a difference to the warmth in your hands. So these waterproof mitts, I've never had to use them yet. I always take them with me. I must really be lucky with the weather. But keeping your gloves dry means you don't have to worry about drying them out when you get to camp. These can hang up and dry with any other wet gear you have, like your jacket. And again, they're two good wee additions to have in your pack: a waterproof hat and a waterproof pair of overmitts to keep your other gloves dry. I do have a big pair of Gore-Tex gloves, but even in the -5 last year with a decent puffy jacket, you don't really seem to need it. As long as you keep your body warm, your hands seems to stay warm. Yeah, waterproof hat and gloves or mitts, definitely a good thing to have with you. If you're unfortunate enough to be walking on the West Highland Way on a week where it's going to just be raining, and I'm sorry, this is Scotland, it could well happen. You're going to have to protect the stuff in your pack. Walking for a full day, you could be out from 8 in the morning until 5, 6 at night if you're doing it over certainly 4 or 5 days. The water's going to get into your pack. It doesn't matter if you have a rain cover, it's going to find its way in there. So you're going to have to figure out a way of protecting the stuff in your pack that you don't want to get wet. Now, a down sleeping bag or a down jacket, they get wet, they're going to be useless. That's game over. That's the end of your trip. So what I do when I'm heading out onto the West Highland Way, or any trip for that matter, because all my hiking's predominantly done in Scotland, is I use these. This is the Osprey 30 to 50 litre dry sacks. Now, that's the one that goes inside my pack, that everything goes inside. So my stuff's kind of double bagged, if you want to say that. And then I have just a whole selection of other dry sacks in various different sizes. And as I say, I use the colours to help me identify what's what. So the blue ones, I have fly sheet, inner for my tent. The orange ones I use for my sleep systems. The big red one here, that's not an Osprey one, that's one I've had for a few years now. My sleeping bag goes inside that. So, you know, everything I've got is going to be inside one of these many dry sacks, which again, having them in separate dry sacks allows you to organise your stuff but also keep everything dry. The last thing you want is to get down wet, which takes us on to the next luxury item. We've had a look at the Thermarest compressible pillow, and this is what I'm worried that the compressible pillow is about to take the place of, because this is one of my favourite things to take with me. Here is one of my favourite things to take with me, and you can see it looks like a sleeping bag. It's a similar size to a sleeping bag. It's another item from Mountain Equipment. I'm quite a fan of their stuff. This is a wee item of luxury that, you know, I am walking in April, and we have had, certainly in Glencoe the last few years, I've had very cold weather. But yeah, this is... I love putting this on because it feels like you're putting on a duvet. It's my big Mountain Equipment Puffy Jacket. Now, as you saw from the size of that there, it's like taking an additional sleeping bag with you. Oh. I just love it. It does take up a fair bit of space in the pack, and my concern this year is that if I want to take the compressible pillow, something might have to give. This is the quandary I'm having just now. So I do have an alternative to the big puffy jacket. This is my, my lighter weight rab jacket. It is another option, but I do love this jacket. It's so warm. The evening we spent in Glencoe the last 2 years, it was freezing, properly ice on the ground, freezing. And with this on, you hardly even felt it, so I'm going to have to weigh up. Am I taking this and the big Thermarest pillow, or do I just try and squeeze it in and take my favourite cosy jacket that I wear in the evenings? So that's a decision I'm going to have to make. Right, we're getting near the end now. Other than the clothes that I'll be taking, which I'll, it's trousers and it's tops. What else have I not talked about? Now, in terms of powering all my electronics, I have two Anchor power banks. This one has got my West Highland Way sticker on from a previous year's trip. That between the two of these should get me to, well, I'll recharge them again when I get to Ben Glass. I've got the bigger one, and then it's just a wee slightly smaller one. I bought this off the back of the fact that I was using more and more electronic items. It wasn't just my phone and my then watch that I was charging up. So I got the extra battery pack. So this will keep me going for the trip. And again, there's loads of points along the way where you can recharge these. So that plus their cable, and you're sorted. Now, I won't be charging my watch on this trip. I'm using the Garmin Fenix 7X watch. It has 28 days of battery life. Now, I will be switching it on every day, but I found last year I didn't have to recharge this until I got home. Take with that what you will. I think John did top his up in Kinloch Leaving, in the pub when we stopped there for dinner, but I don't think I charged mine up at all. So yeah, the Garmin watches now, the battery life's lasting, well, pretty much a month. That's without using the GPS, but with the GPS on, that reduces it down, and I think you still get something like, I think it's 8 or 9 days. It's enough to get you through the West Highland Way if you're doing it anywhere between 5 and 7 days. So yeah, that will not need charged as we go. I'll have my phone, the drone batteries, the GoPro batteries, which I've got 4 of them, so I'm using roughly 1 a day. Yeah, we'll have plenty of power with the power banks, and again, we'll be able to recharge stuff at the campsites as we go along. Another piece of equipment that I will be taking with me, I know some people like to take camp shoes with them, so they're like down booties with a kind of more solid sole. These can go on the outside of the pack. I just squash them together. They slide down the outside of the pack. My trusted, very worn out Adidas flip-flops. Again, when you get to camp, you want to let your feet breathe. These are ideal. You can wear them in the wet, and yeah, they don't have the greatest traction on the bottom, but yeah, nothing can really go wrong with these. So yeah, I'll be taking my trusty flip-flops with me as well. I guess the last thing before I sign off would be, I know some of you who have never done the West Highland Way might be concerned a wee bit about maybe perhaps getting lost en route. I got myself a copy of this. It's the West Highland Way easy to use folding map and essential information, which comes with a downloadable GPX file. Now, I won't be taking this with me this year. I have completed the West Highland Way twice now. I pretty much know where I'm going. It's hard to get lost once you know a route this well. It's really well signposted, but if you need the peace of mind, there are, this is a waterproof map. There are waterproof maps, there are GPX files, there are guidebooks if you want to carry a book all the way. This is relatively lightweight, and again, that fits just neatly inside that chest rig that I had, and I took that with me. It was a good wee map just to give you a little bit of information. So yeah, if you need a map, I can recommend this one. Yeah, so other than the drone that I'm taking with me now, I can't film the camera that we're taking with us because this is how we're doing this. The Rode microphones will be coming with me, along as well as the GoPro Hero 11 Black, and I'm still using the old faithful DJI Mini, the original one, to get any drone footage that I'll be taking. So yeah, that and the battery packs, and I think that's pretty much us done. That's everything I'll be taking with me. I just need to now get it all into the rucksack, put it on my back, subtract my weight from its weight, and we'll be able to tell you how much it weighs. So yeah, I'll put that information up on the screen now. As I say, we'll be heading off in 13 days to do our third trip along the West Highland Way. I've got my fingers crossed. The weather's going to be good, the weather's going to be good, the weather's going to be good. If any of you are out there starting on the 29th, I will see you somewhere along the trail. In the meantime, I hope you found the video useful. If you have enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of these videos, then I've got a whole selection of West Highland Way videos talking about bits to maybe add in, bits to take out. The high road and low road video from the West Highland Way section, and also if you've got concerns about water, now that could be drinking water, keeping yourself dry, or where to enjoy wild swimming. I have a water video as well available to watch. So if you found it useful, please consider liking and subscribing. And all that remains for me to say is go and create your own adventures, and we'll see you on the next one.